Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Wednesday afternoon. Mario Cristobal, the Miami Hurricanes continue to keep the momentum rolling as it pertains to the spring transfer portal window with what I think is an awesome commitment. Former North Dakota State running back CharMar Brown committing to the Miami Hurricanes. Now, the Miami fans who've been rocking with the boys the last couple of days and weeks know I think this kid was by far and away the best running back available in the spring transfer portal window. There's two things I want to note right off the bat. Number one, to me, this is one of the more impressive recruiting wins that Mario Cristobal and the staff have had during their time at Miami. Now, you look at CharMar Brown, he had some really lucrative offers to go to a lot of other Power Four programs and not just be in a rotation. Like, be the guy in the running back room going into 2025, and he decides to come to Miami, where he's joining one of the better running back duos in the country in Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle. Big shout out to Mario Cristobal and the staff for getting this one done. What about CharMar Brown? And how does that tell you this kid is wired? Like, in an era of college football where so many of these kids just want the easiest path to playing time that they can get, CharMar Brown says, yeah, I'm going to come to Miami. I'm going to compete with two of the best running backs in the country. That tells you a little bit about what CharMar Brown and who CharMar Brown is. And I think that should fire a lot of Miami Hurricane fans up as well. I think the offensive line selling itself. You know, if you're CharMar Brown, you're looking at all your options and saying, yeah, I know that running back room is crowded, but I get the opportunity to run behind an offensive line that's going to be one of the best in the country. But that's really hard to pass up for this kid. The other thing that comes to my mind, and we'll get more into CharMar Brown and what kind of player he is, because there's a lot to talk about. There's been a lot of conversation regarding, hey, has Miami done enough around Carson Beck going into 2025? Now, that conversation is particularly centered around the pass catcher position. I would argue the most important thing you can do for Carson Beck is give him a good run game. You know, I think there's a lot of national media members that make a big deal about the pass catchers that he had at Georgia, which were bad. Like, there ain't no way around that. I think you could argue that the biggest thing that resulted in Carson not having as good of a year as expected in the 2024 year was, look, Georgia, they couldn't run the football. Like, they were outside the top 90 in yards per carry in the 2024 year. And Mario Cristobal in Miami, they're going to have an elite rushing attack in the 2025 year, and CharMar Brown's going to play a role. And so, although maybe some people have question marks about the experience and the potential difference makers in the wide receiver room, which we've talked about, we'll continue to talk about, you can't ask any questions about that run game because it's going to be one of the best in the country, and that's big for Carson Beck because he wants to work play action, and he's going to have some big time opportunity to work play action in 2025. Want to get into CharMar Brown, want to talk about what this means for the running back room. We're going to get into a little bit of the film too. Watching this kid, he's so fun to watch at North Dakota State last year. Before we get into it, as always, the Miami fans, y'all let it fly in the comment section. I think many Miami fans, at least from what y'all been putting in the comment section, like this kid a lot too. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. It's been really fun having these different kind of discussions around this team in the portal. The amount of support that y'all have shown the fellas has been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into this one. And let's start with what he did in 2024. Actually, you know, before we get into what he did in 2024, I do want to note this. 3 years of eligibility remaining. And so there's a very good chance he comes in and is your running back 3 going into 2025. Probably the best running back 3 that we see in the entire country, but might be your running back 3 behind 2 really good backs in Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle. 3 years of eligibility remaining. So he might be a rotational piece in this running back room to start in 2025. What's he going to look like in 2026? Like, what's he going to look like potentially in 2027? You're getting a guy that immediately, you know, kind of solves your depth at running back going into 2025. But at the same time, this kid could emerge as a difference maker later on during his career with the Miami Hurricanes. Getting into CharMar Brown, 244 carries, workhorse as a redshirt freshman, 1,100 yards, 15 touchdowns. The numbers that really jump out, 758 yards after contact. And you'll be hard-pressed to find a single running back. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find running backs that run for 700 yards, period, much less after contact. Extremely physical downhill running back that knows how to lower his pads, that knows how to stand on his, or stay on his feet. The contact balance is special. The physicality that he runs with is special. 51 missed tackles forced in the 2024 year. Oh, here's another thing. Redshirt freshman last year did not fumble the ball one time for North Dakota State, too. That ain't flashy to talk about. That matters when you're trying to play national championship caliber football. Then the second thing that kind of stands out to me is, although he's kind of a no nonsense back, like wants to attack the line of scrimmage, wants to invite contact, there's a decent level of kind of shake at the second level, like making linebackers and safeties miss in short area. And he does have a little bit of burst. Like the long speed is not incredible with this kid. It's probably not quite where Jordan Lyle is, but he's probably got a little bit more burst than a guy like Damian Martinez. And that was an unnecessary shot at Damian Martinez, but he does have a little bit of juice when he gets to the second level too. You kind of assume he's just this bowling ball, 220-pound running back where, there's some shake. There's some juice at the second level that this kid has as well. Want to get into a little bit of what we saw from him at North Dakota State. This dude is just ultra, ultra competitive. Stays on his feet, invites contact, and is just powerful, stays on his feet, extremely competitive running back. And you see this all over the film, especially I went back and bunched Houston because I don't watch a ton of North Dakota State on my Saturdays, picking through traffic, staying on his feet, lowering his pads, just carrying defenders on his back. And, one of the things that stands out as you kind of work through him is he doesn't take a lot of negative plays. He gets a lot of those, you might say, hidden yards. He turns a 2nd and 6 into its 2nd and 4, turns a 2nd and 8 into a 2nd and 6. That type of stuff where it's like, hey, as opposed to being in 2nd and 8, you're in 2nd and 6. You're a little bit more on schedule. That stuff does not pop on the box score very often, like the extra 2 yards. That matters when you're trying to win the way Miami's going to try to win in 2025, which is, hey, we want to run the football. We want to be methodical, and we want to stay on the football field on offense. CharMar Brown does a lot of that dirty work. A lot of those hidden yards CharMar Brown starts to find. Now, why is this so big for Miami is this was going to be really hard. Like we talked about this prior to the spring portal where it's, all right, you have Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle, two of the better backs in the country, but you want to add a running back 3. It was always going to be hard to add a running back 3 to this team because, a lot of running backs look at this room and say, I probably ain't starting over Mark Fletcher or Jordan Lyle. This is big. We know Miami's going to run the football a lot in 2025. You wanted to have a deep running back room where you can keep all of these bodies fresh. All of a sudden, you're looking up and saying, all right, Mario Cristobal, Miami got one of, if not the best offensive lines that we see in the country going into 2025. And now we also have not only one of the most talented, but one of the deepest running back rooms that we see in the entire country going into 2025. Again, people make a lot of, I'm not saying the concerns are not there about this wide receiver room. You could certainly debate the question marks we might have. This team is going to take a little bit of a different identity, in my opinion, going into the 2025 year. And you saw Miami really lean into the passing attack last year because you had a bunch of NFL wide receivers, lead offensive line and pass protection, and the number 1 overall draft pick at quarterback. Again, Miami's going to be able to throw the football just fine, in my opinion, but they're going to lean into the run game a little bit more. And I think that's how Mario Cristobal has built this program, built this team. Like, look at what positions he's valuing at the high school ranks. Big bodies that move bodies off the line of scrimmage. And you got a loaded running back room. This one should excite a lot of Miami Hurricane fans. And the kid's only getting better. Like, this isn't a fifth-year running back that has a ton of tread on the tires and isn't getting better as a football player. Like, he's only going into year 3, redshirted in 2023. Like, he's only getting better as a running back, only getting better as a football player. I think for Miami, it's like you got one more target, you got to land. And I know Miami's kicking around some other guys, Colton Hood coming from Colorado, Keontae Scott from Auburn. This is the big fish. And again, I know the transfer portal at times has been frustrating for Miami. Like, there's been maybe the lack of wide receivers that Miami wanted. Trebor Pena goes to Penn State. regardless of that, you land AJ Halsey. That's a all first to one of the best safeties in the country, first team all conference safety last year at Houston, at the biggest position of concern. Man, you got to feel great about what Miami did in the spring transfer portal window. They rolled out the red carpet for AJ Halsey over the last 24 hours, right? He was on his visit yesterday afternoon, taking pictures with Rick Ross, getting police escorts around the city. Like they put everything they had into kind of making sure they lock down the commitment of AJ Halsey. And heck, we'll see. We might be breaking down another commitment at some point in the near future with AJ Halsey. We'll pause it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.